This is NC Spin, an unrehearsed discussion on issues of interest to North Carolinians. Now, here is your moderator, Tom Campbell.
Welcome to this special edition of NC Spin. We're delighted to have a partnership with 4-H in North Carolina, and always pleased to have a panel of these outstanding 4-Hers to let us know the issues in which they're most interested. So let us introduce you to our panel of 4-Hers. They include Joah Bickley from Lake Lure in Rutherford County, Tucker Melton from Moyock in Currituck County, Kerry Aguilera from Harmony in Yadkin County, and Callie Steger from Sanford in Lee County. Welcome to the show. Well, before we begin to explore specific issues, it's always interesting to get to know more of our panelists, so I'm going to ask each of you to tell us whether you go to public school, private school, you're homeschooled, or you've graduated from school. Tell us what year you're in. I'll start with you, Joel.
I go to an early college high school in Rutherford County, where I'm on a college campus, and I will be a senior in this coming year.
Tucker?
I go to an early college as well in Currituck County. I'm not on a college campus, but we have our own school system, and I'll be a junior this year.
All right. Kerry?
I am a recent graduate from the Yadkin Early College, a public school in Yadkin County, and I will be attending UNC Greensboro in the fall.
Callie?
I am homeschooled, and I'm going into the 12th grade.
Interesting to me, this early college, is this sort of the new fad in North Carolina, the new trend in North Carolina? What are the advantages to early college?
To me, I'm able to get an associate's degree, and it's very easy for me to do so because it's already integrated in the system. So,
Well, I agree with what she said. It's easy to get the associate's degree that we're all after for being at an early college, as well as the people that attend the schools want to be there because it's an optional course.
Does it sort of give you a leg up, Kerry, so far as getting into college?
It really does. I will be enrolling as a freshman at UNC Greensboro, but I will have junior status because of all the college courses I took at the early college.
Great. All right, Joe, you're in a group known as Millennials. We know it's now the second largest group in population, slightly smaller than baby boomers. How are millennials alike and how they're different from other age groups?
I think they're different mainly because of their dependence on technology, and I think a lot of generations think that this is a bad thing, but in my mind, it's also a very good thing. There are some bad qualities to it, but they kind of they're overcome with the good things because it's encouraging kids to be more innovative with technology in today's world.
Tucker, we're told that your age group doesn't read newspapers, they don't watch television news. First of all, is that correct? But secondly, where do you get information on current events?
Well, I read newspaper very, very rarely. I do like to watch TV news whenever I can find the time. I primarily get all of my news from 3 different news apps to try to get on my phone to try to get a consensus on what the actual news is, given that different news agencies will put a different spin on the news.
Do you mind telling us what those apps are?
I use the BBC, CNN, and Fox News.
Interesting. Kerry, we're going to talk about the 2016 elections in a few minutes, but one of the phenomenon of this past election cycle, the primary cycle, was that so many of the millennials flocked over to and supported Bernie Sanders. What was Bernie saying that the millennial generation really supported and agreed with?
I think Bernie Sanders' support for pre-college was what really got our attention, especially, I know personally for me, paying for college is a big hassle, and I've struggled to find financial aid, and I'm actually having to take a loan out this first year, so I think that's a major reason why millennials.
Callie, would you agree with that? Is that what attracted so many millennials to Bernie Sanders?
I believe that is one of the big things that attracted our kids our age and a little bit older than us to Bernie Sanders, because with the offer of free college and trying to get that free schooling.
How about free health care? Because he talked about that too.
Yeah, I think also the offer of free health care, that's also another big issue with our.
All right. One of the statistics that has recently come into publicity is the fact that millennials have a higher percentage of unemployment than many of the other age groups. Why do you think this is the case? And Tucker, particularly, how do you view your prospects for employment when you get into the workforce?
Well, I think that millennials don't exactly want to do the jobs that are entry-level jobs, like working at a fast food restaurant, working outside in the field, picking crops and such. I currently work at a golf course doing jobs that nobody else really wants to do.
So, but why are so many millennials having a tough time finding employment then?
I think it's not that
You say they don't want to do the entry-level jobs.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. All right. Callie, let me switch gears just a little bit. What do you see as the biggest issue facing our state of North Carolina right now?
I think it's definitely a lot of violence, a lot of crimes, small crimes committed by gangs mostly, and it really goes back to the school system not allowing an outlet for kids, an after-school system set in place.
Anybody else got a different perspective on that? The biggest issue in North Carolina?
I think what we're facing, or what we're having trouble with the most at this time, is poverty. I know for a fact that in my county I've seen a lot of homeless people out in the streets, and I think as a state we should come together and try to fix that.
All right, Joah, so as you look at North Carolina, do you view us as moving ahead, standing still, or going backward so far as the economy, jobs, and progress are concerned?
I think you can't deny that we're moving forward in the economy when it comes to jobs and money within the state. But I definitely think that there are some parts that can be improved, some jobs that should be getting more payment and more funding for, but some jobs that might necessarily not need as much. So I think there's a little balance that needs to be made. But in general, I think we're moving forward in the economy and it's going on a good path.
Anybody different viewpoint on that? Everybody think we're fairly well moving ahead. Well, here's a question that is one of the big issues in North Carolina and topics of discussion. And you had to know I was going to raise this question, House Bill 2. It's been a subject of discussion throughout the state for the last few months, the so-called bathroom bill. I want to know how much have you been following the news surrounding HB 2, and I want to ask each of you, tell me what you think about this bill. Callie, I'll start with you.
I think there's a lot of controversy with one part of the bill. It's really just a lot more to the bill than just one part, though. But everybody's kind of focusing on one part. And I don't want to say too much because I haven't researched the bill very much, but I just know there's a lot more to it than what all the controversy is.
All right, Kerry.
I'd have to agree with her. I honestly think that the bill should not be enforced and should be
repealed?
Yeah, should be repealed and should go through ratification again to have it improve.
All right. Tucker?
I don't think I know quite enough about the bill. I think, in order to form an opinion, I think that most of the media likes to focus on one issue in the bill when there are actually many aspects to the bill itself.
So you think the media coverage of this bill might be a little slanted?
I think so, yes.
All right. Joe?
I definitely think that there are more parts of the bill, but I also know that it is constantly being changed as we speak. Because of all of the offense on it and people who are so against it have come forward, it is actually being changed and ratified to make it less discriminatory, and it's being changed to where I think it's going to be much less of a controversy in the future.
All right. After these messages, we're going to get the panel to come back and talk to us about the 2016 elections. We thank you for watching NC Spin on the air on YouTube. Here's a reminder, there's much more on our website, ncspin.com or NC Spin on Facebook. You'll find video footage not seen anywhere else, perspective pieces from our panel, and you can read our weekly column. Get more balanced debate from the Old North State on ncspin.com, NC Spin on Facebook, or on Twitter at NC Spin Tweets.
NC Spin will return after these messages.
Baseball players from other countries are considered guest workers here. Baseball, the previous administration and Congress cut a deal in 2006 allowing foreign players to travel freely across the country. Not so for agriculture guest workers. They're vilified for doing work Americans won't, and they face a mountain of red tape just to get here. Shouldn't American agriculture get the same consideration as baseball? Farm Bureau and Agriculture, we keep North Carolina growing.
I help educate and inspire visually impaired students to strive for a brighter future.
I make sure visitors to the North Carolina Zoo take a walk on the wild side. and I make sure that the fuel you buy is a quality product from pipeline to pump.
I support small businesses in North Carolina by matching them with hard-working, well-trained employees.
I make sure the roads you drive on are safe.
Scenic, the one voice speaking in support of the men and women who are making North Carolina great.
We now return to NC Spin.
We continue our special program with 4-H'ers in North Carolina. And obviously one of the big news makers for this year is the election's going to be held in November. So I want to ask each of you, how closely have you been following the election? Have you been trying to keep up with all the candidates and issues? And if not, do you plan to do so, or are you just kind of turned off by the whole process? Callie, I'll start with you.
I have been closely following the presidential elections since last year, around June of last year, ever since Trump came out.
All right, so statewide elections, not so much?
No, not so much. I will start researching, but yeah, mostly nationwide.
Kerry?
I really haven't been following the national elections. I've just really been turned off by this whole Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump thing. It's really not appealing to me.
How can you not be? Good Lord, what a mess. Tucker, how about you?
I'm not following elections as closely as I'd like to be, but that's mostly because of time constraints and I usually just look at the breaking news bulletins on my phone when they pop up.
All right, Joe?
I've been trying to follow both state and local, and as well as national elections as closely as possible. But and I definitely, no matter how turned off I am by the candidate specifically, the run itself is quite entertaining, to say the least. So I've definitely enjoyed following it, and I'm excited to see.
I'll have to tell you,
excited to see where it goes.
I've been following elections since the 1960s, and this is the strangest election cycle we have ever been in. So I want to ask you the next question. How would you describe the political climate in North Carolina right now? Kerry?
I feel that it's not as tense as most states because of our very rural towns, except like in city areas is where I think it gets a little bit more heated. But overall, I think it's pretty cool.
All right, Callie?
I feel like it's very divided right now, and there's just a lot of, not necessarily hate, but just bashing different parties.
Divisiveness.
Yeah.
Joah?
I think we are definitely divided, but I also think that's a good thing for our state because it means that we have a big role in the election, and it's allowing us, each individual, to actually have a say and be more important than other states. So I think the political climate in general is one that's exciting, and I'm looking forward to it.
Tucker?
I think that it's the diversity that we see, the split, kind of opens the door to have open discussion, kind of try to find a middle ground. But I think that the hate and bashing kind of removes that possibility, and I'd like to see that go away.
Yeah, all right. So now I'm going to ask you the big question. This does set you up to this point. All right, would you classify yourself as a Republican, a Democrat, or an unaffiliated? Callie?
I classify myself as unaffiliated just because I agree and disagree with parts of the different parties. So I don't want to fully agree with one.
All right, Kerry?
I'd have to agree with her. Honestly, I feel like you should choose the party that most defines your values and not choose the party to define your values.
All right, Tucker?
I consider myself unaffiliated simply because neither of the political parties are really appealing to me. I like some of the aspects of both, but I don't like the diversity and the separation we see between them.
Interesting. Joah?
I identify myself most with the Libertarian Party. However, I do find flaws with that party and with both of the other parties, as well as major advantages to all of them.
I think this is an important thing to point out to our viewers, frankly. 3 of the 4 of you say you're unaffiliated. Well, that pretty well tracks what we're told about millennials, is that you're not joiners, and particularly as far as political parties are concerned. I think some people would make a case for the fact that libertarians are not necessarily a political party. So let me ask you the question, Joe, and I'll start with you. What do you think about all this political advertising we see on television or here on the radio? Is it helping you in choosing a candidate, or is it turning you off, or what?
I don't generally look at political advertising just because I know how biased it can be. But I know that for some people, it definitely is influencing their vote, and I think that's something that we should teach kids and really everybody to not concentrate on, and to actually concentrate on the facts and what's going on.
All right, fast forward. Tucker, it's November 8th. You are a voter going to the polls in North Carolina. I want to ask each of you to tell me, would you vote for Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton or a Libertarian?
Libertarian.
Libertarian. Joah?
I'd say if I had to choose, Libertarian for sure.
Callie?
If I'd have to choose, Libertarian.
Kerry?
I'd honestly would like to be the oddball here and probably say that I wouldn't vote at all. It's just, I hate to choose between two evils.
All right, so let's move on down the ballot a little bit. Another big race in North Carolina is the U.S. Senate. We've got Republican Richard Burr running against Democrat Deborah Ross. Let me ask you, at this moment in time, if you were going to vote, Callie, who would you vote for?
I'd probably vote for Richard Burr.
Okay. Kerry?
I'd say Richard Burr as well.
Interesting. Tucker?
I probably wouldn't vote because I'm not too informed on their how they stand on certain issues.
All right. Joah?
I'd probably vote for Richard Burr.
All right. So let's move on down to the governor's race in North Carolina. We've got Pat McCrory running against Democrat Roy Cooper. Tucker, who are you going to vote for?
Governor Pat McCrory.
All right. Joah?
I think there's a lot of flack on both of them. I think there's a lot of accusations being made right now. However, if I had to choose, I think I'd vote for Pat McCrory.
All right. Callie?
I agree with Joe. There's a lot on both sides, but I think I'd go with Pat McCrory.
Interesting. Kerry?
I'd honestly would vote for Cooper.
You would?
Yes.
So we've got 3 McCrories and 1 Cooper. All right. Are there any other statewide races that particularly are attracting your attention? Any of the Council of State races, Lieutenant Governor, State Treasurer, Attorney General, any of those races? Not on your radar yet?
Not yet. Not yet.
All right, so Republicans have been running North Carolina since 2011 and since Governor McCrory got elected in 2012. Would you say the Republicans are on the right track, or on the wrong track, or not so sure one way or the other? Kerry?
I'm really not so sure, but I feel like they're going in the wrong track. That's why I would personally vote for Cooper.
Roy Cooper. Okay.
Yeah.
Callie?
I would say I'm not so sure too, just because I'm not sure. I would have to research more to give a more accurate answer.
Right. Joah?
The Republican Party is definitely getting redefined. A lot of it is because of Donald Trump, and I think that right now it's going on a downhill direction. Hopefully that'll turn around, but
right.
you
That's
never really...
nationally. Is it also true in North Carolina?
Yeah, mainly I think that's affecting every state as well. So.
Okay. Tucker?
I'm not too informed on what the Republican Party is doing in North Carolina, but I generally think as the Republican Party as a whole on the national level is going downhill is that they're divided and they can't seem to make a decision without fighting amongst themselves.
Interesting. Okay. After these messages, we're going to come back and talk more about education.
NC Sped will return after these messages.
You only get one pair of eyes. Keeping them healthy is critical to your quality of life. Members of the NC Optometric Society know this. These highly skilled doctors have the latest technology and the medical training to care for your eyes and the eyes of those you love. Make sure you visit your optometrist for an eye exam on a regular basis. For more information on keeping your eyes healthy or to find the right optometrist for you, visit nceyes.org. Remember, healthy eyes, healthier lives.
It's a fact. Patients who receive care in the medical home from a trusted family physician reduce healthcare costs through prevention, early detection, and affordable management of high-cost chronic diseases.
Every dollar invested in healthcare matters. Let's invest them wisely, building on North Carolina's medical home model. Better health begins with a medical home, a trusted family physician, the best return on our healthcare investment. Learn about the importance of medical homes at ournchealthcare.com.
You sleep on concrete till your body get immune to concrete.
My mom got my brother and I up and said, come on, we're leaving.
I became homeless in the beginning of this year.
When I was about 4 or 5 years old, our house caught fire.
I used to see my brother. If he see me, he'd turn and go the other direction.
We did the only thing that we could think of, and we went to a Salvation Army shelter.
You know, we don't have this, like, what's your background look like? We just say, what do you need?
I remember the man from the Salvation Army coming down with a box of clothes.
The Salvation Army officer bought my brother and I an ice cream cone.
Last week, my brother walked up to me and he just started a conversation.
Today I've given my life to the Salvation Army because I remember what somebody did for me, my brother, and my mom over 30 years ago.
The Salvation Army for me means hope.
Compassion.
Family.
Support.
We now return to NC Spin.
We continue our really interesting conversation with our outstanding 4-H students on the panel. All right, since each of you is in school or have been in school, our viewers would like to get your views on how well the education system's working. So I want to ask each of you, there are a lot of people that say that we're not doing a good job of educating this generation to prepare them for the workforce and the life for the future. So I'd like, you folks are the ones that are undergoing this, so I'd like for you to give education a grade, A to F, A being the top, F being the last, the worst, and tell us why you gave that grade. Tucker?
I think I'd give education North Carolina a B-. Simply because when you join the workforce, you're confronted with a lot of different forms and different acronyms and different just stuff that you have to confront. Just that we don't train for in high school or anything before that. We're more focused on getting test scores back and how well we do on a standardized test.
All right. Joah, what grade would you give it? Why?
I would give North Carolina public education probably a B. I think it's fairly easy to become experienced in a lot of different ways if you take that initiative personally and if you go out and you find things that will help you with that. But for people who don't really have that initiative to go out and find that, it could be definitely a lot harder, and I think the school system could do a better job to help those people.
Callie, you're our homeschool student, so I'm assuming that y'all gave public education in North Carolina a grade of F, otherwise you wouldn't be homeschooled. But tell me what you think of public education in North Carolina.
Well, not quite that low. I gave it a D, and not just based off the teachers. There's nothing against the teachers. It's more based off of how school systems prepare you for life, basically. They don't show you how to balance a checkbook or even take out loans.
So the life skills.
Yeah, the life skills is why I give it a low grade.
All right, Kerry, how would you? You're out of it now, so you can speak about it.
I'd probably give it a C+. I think there's a lot of room for improvement. For example, teaching students how to build a resume, how to follow orders in the workplace, and what to expect from the workplace also. So I think if we could have more classes to teach about like the real world, I'd give it a higher grade.
All right. Callie, testing is obviously a big issue, and I'm sure as a homeschooler you have to go through a fair amount of that also. The national test scores show that North Carolina is performing a little better in English and about the national average in math. What are the reasons why North Carolina students aren't performing any better than they are, in your opinion?
I believe it all goes back to what Kerry said earlier about North Carolina having such a high poverty level. It goes back to your home life, and if your parents are helping you with schoolwork, a lot of kids don't have that access to having a parent help them. And then you have the teachers who are being stretched to just teach for the test, and they can't teach that extra curricular that they want to get in there. So I believe that's part of the problem why we score a little bit lower.
A lot of the recent discussion, Kerry, in public education is focused on teacher pay. Our legislature just gave teachers a pay raise. They say they're going to result in an average teacher pay of $50,000 per year for teachers. Is that too much, just about the right amount, or too little to be paying teachers, in your opinion?
Well, they do have to go through college, so I think it's a fair amount, but I do not think the problem lies within the teachers. I think it lies within the system.
All right. The other big discussion item in this past short session of the General Assembly, and you probably heard about the Common Core math curriculum, and whether we were going to change back to the traditional algebra, geometry, Algebra 2 curriculum, or whether we were going to keep Common Core. You two guys have been having to deal with Common Core math for the last year or two. What do you think about this?
I think that in the Common Core math system, there's so many standards that the teacher needs to teach. We don't have time to delve in depth with what we need to know for the exam. And it's just the teacher's overwhelmed with information that they have to get us to accept and to understand.
And you didn't learn it from early grades on?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
I'd have to disagree, actually. I've done research on Common Core math, and it helps kids learn critical thinking. And although a lot of people think it's like broader and doesn't give a lot of detail, it's actually allows for math to be a way for kids to think deeper into problems and solve them better. Yep. And I think it's going to take some adjusting for teachers to learn actually how to give this information to students. But
so you think the
run,
legislature should leave this alone and just let Common Core continue?
I think they should do more teacher training when it comes to teaching this, because it is a more in-depth way, but it also, in the long run, I think it'll be a really good thing for our students.
All right, I want to ask each of you fairly quickly to tell me, if you could wave a magic wand and change one thing about education today, what would it be?
Standardized testing.
Standardized testing. More, less?
Less, definitely less.
Less testing. All right, Callie?
I would put more teachers' assistants back in the school. I've talked to some teachers, and they really think that they need more teachers' assistants.
All right, Tucker?
I'd have to agree with both of them.
All right.
I really don't like the idea of standardized testing, because it's putting all the students on a level playing field and all the teachers on a level playing field when everyone has a different teaching style and a different learning style.
I would encourage schools to have more extracurricular activities and better ways for kids to join those extracurricular activities and to be able to get more experience and more life skills from those.
After these messages, we're going to explore some other issues with our 4-Hers.
NC Spin is brought to you in part by the North Carolina Farm Bureau. The Farm Bureau and Agriculture. We keep North Carolina growing.
The cost of everything has gone up dramatically over the last 75 years. With one exception, keeping electricity affordable. That's the power of your co-op membership. Learn more at togetherwesave.com.
North Carolina's Touchstone Energy Cooperatives, looking out for you.
I help educate and inspire visually impaired students to strive for a brighter future.
I make sure visitors to the North Carolina Zoo take a walk on the wild side.
And I make sure that the fuel you buy is a quality product from pipeline to pump.
I support small businesses in North Carolina by matching them with hard-working, well-trained employees.
I make sure the roads you drive on are safe.
Scenic, the one voice speaking in support of the men and women who are making North Carolina great.
This show with our 4-Hers has gone mighty quickly, and the time we've got left, I want to raise another big issue. Tucker, one of the big discussions today is immigration. A lot of people want to severely restrict the number of immigrants coming in. Donald Trump even wants to build a wall. But farmers and small business people say if we get rid of immigrants, we won't have anybody to build our houses, pick our crops. Where do you stand on immigration?
I personally don't see a problem with immigration as it stands, other than the fact that we need to secure our border more thoroughly, but I don't think building a wall is the correct solution.
Other comments?
I'd have to agree. I think that immigration is very important.
Callie?
I agree also immigration is important, but the legal way through immigration is also important.
Okay. Kerry?
I think immigrants play a huge role in agriculture because most of them, that's where they go to find jobs because they don't ask for any legal documentation. So,
all right. Well, I want to thank Joah Bickley. I want to thank Tucker Melton. I want to thank Kerry Aguilera and Callie Steger for our 4-H students for being such marvelous panelists. I think we could talk forever. We hope you've enjoyed this 4-H show. Next week, we're going to return to our regular format to stay informed all during the week. Read our weekly column. Be sure to join us next week for more balanced debate on the Old North State here at NC Spin.